Let's just get one thing straight. Protecting your peace isn't selfish. But the reason you feel guilty for doing it? That's because somewhere along the way, you were trained to believe that your value comes from how useful you are to other people. That's why saying no feels like betrayal. That's why canceling plans feels like failure. That's why choosing rest over productivity makes you anxious, like you're breaking some invisible rule. But here's the truth. Your peace is not up for negotiation. And if you keep handing it out to anyone who demands your energy, your time, your emotional labor, your yes, you will eventually have nothing left to give, not to them, and not to yourself. So let's talk about how to protect your peace without guilt and without apologizing for it. First, stop over-explaining. You don't owe people a full TED Talk every time you set a boundary. If you're tired, say no. If you're not available, say that. I'm not able to make it. Full sentence. I need some time to recharge. Full sentence. People who respect you will accept it. People who don't, they were never listening anyway. And every time you explain yourself to make someone else more comfortable with your boundary, you're shrinking to fit a version of yourself they prefer. Let that go. Second, recognize that guilt isn't a sign you're doing something wrong. Guilt is not always truth. Sometimes guilt is just a scar from a lifetime of being trained to abandon yourself for others. So when you feel guilt for saying no, for resting, for stepping away, pause. Ask yourself, am I actually doing something wrong? Or am I just uncomfortable because I'm doing something different? Different doesn't mean wrong. It means growth. Third, remember that other people's reactions aren't your responsibility. Your boundary might disappoint people. It might annoy them. It might even upset them. That does not mean you're wrong for setting it. You are not responsible for managing everyone else's feelings about your decisions. You are responsible for honoring what keeps you sane, grounded, and whole. You can be kind. You can be compassionate. But you are not an emotional janitor. Fourth, ask yourself, what's the cost of my peace? Every time you say yes when you want to say no, it costs you something. Your energy, your time, your mental clarity, your sleep, your self-respect. So what's your peace actually worth to you? Because if you're trading your peace for temporary approval, you're not setting boundaries. You're buying silence. And that debt always comes back with interest. Fifth, don't wait until you break to start protecting it. Most people wait until they're completely burned out, resentful, or ready to snap before they finally start protecting their peace. Don't be that person. Start now. Start when it's awkward. Start when you're still tempted to over-explain. Because the longer you ignore what drains you, the deeper you dig the hole you'll eventually have to climb out of. Peace doesn't protect itself. You have to do that part. You're allowed to disappoint people. You're allowed to walk away from things that drain you. You're allowed to protect your space, your schedule, your sanity, without writing a novel every time you do it. Because here's the hard truth. If you don't protect your peace, no one else will. And if you keep choosing guilt over growth, burnout over boundaries, and people-pleasing over peace, you're going to keep waking up tired, angry, and confused about why everything feels so heavy. So stop waiting for permission. This is it. If this woke something up in you, good. Now act on it. And look, let's talk about something people rarely admit. Sometimes chaos is comfortable. Staying overwhelmed, overbooked, and overstimulated gives you an excuse to not face the harder stuff. The silence of peace can feel threatening when you've lived your whole life in noise. You say you want calm, but when you finally get a quiet moment, you pick up your phone, check your inbox, scroll your way right back into mental clutter. Why? Because part of you is terrified of what might come up in that stillness, the feelings you've buried, the decisions you've avoided, the truth about the people around you. So hear this. Protecting your peace isn't just about keeping the outside world in check. It's about being brave enough to face what comes up inside when the distractions are gone. And yeah, That takes guts. Most people never get there. Most people numb, distract, self-sabotage. But you're not most people. You're here because some part of you is done with that. You're tired of breaking down in private while performing fine in public. You're tired of overcommitting and under-recovering. You're tired of playing the peacekeeper while your own nervous system is screaming for relief. So let's take it further. Stop confusing accessibility with kindness. Just because someone has your number doesn't mean they have access to your energy 24/7. You're not obligated to answer every text, respond to every quick favor, or jump every time someone pulls on your emotional leash. Being available to everyone leaves you available to no one, especially yourself. You don't have to be the go-to person for every crisis. You're allowed to close the door, log off, put your phone on Do Not Disturb, and choose yourself. And no, you don't have to explain that to anyone. And let's also stop glamorizing being unbothered, as if protecting your peace means never feeling anything. That's not real peace. That's emotional avoidance dressed up as strength. Protecting your peace means you do feel deeply. It means you let yourself grieve, rest, say no, walk away, say yes to things that scare you, and hold space for your full humanity without collapsing under everyone else's expectations. It means choosing discomfort now over destruction later. And yeah, people might notice the shift. You might get pushback. You might even lose people. But if your peace depends on staying small, silent, and overextended, then it's not peace. It's performance. And you've performed long enough. Protecting your peace isn't always graceful. Sometimes it looks like disappointing people who once called you selfless. Sometimes it looks like deleting the app, ghosting the drama, canceling the dinner, not engaging in the argument, or walking out of a room where you're not respected. It looks like prioritizing what you need, even if no one claps for it. Especially when no one claps for it. And if part of you is still holding on to guilt, let it. Let the guilt come. Let it sit there. Let it scream and say, "This isn't who you are." And then keep protecting your peace anyway. Because eventually that guilt dies down. And in its place, you'll find something way more powerful. Clarity. You don't need to justify protecting your peace any more than you need to justify breathing. This isn't about being rude. It's about being real. It's about honoring the life you're building instead of constantly managing everyone else's reaction to it. So again, I'll ask you, what's your peace worth? And what are you finally ready to stop sacrificing for the sake of staying likable, reachable, agreeable, or easy to deal with? You don't owe anyone a version of yourself that's silently suffering. You don't owe anyone your burnout just to keep the peace. You owe yourself the space to breathe. And if that makes some people uncomfortable, let them be uncomfortable. They'll adjust, or they won't. But either way, you'll still have your peace.